No sé si lo va a publicar desde el mío y lo tengo que compartir en The Latin America Show, pero bueno. Efectivamente, lo está publicando desde el mío. Ok, ¿por qué no aparece en vivo en The Latin America Show?
Your life.
Pero en el mío, no en The Latin America Show. ¿Alguna sugerencia?
No, ya está en Latinoamérica Show, ya lo tienes.
Cool. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Latin America Show. Apologies for the delay. Let me tell you what happened tonight. That, well, is something that it was a little bit weird because, well, the Zoom connection and also Facebook, they changed the API that we have with them. So it was a little bit awkward and it was a little bit difficult that, well, they changed these things. So, well, we were trying to sort it out at the last minute because, well, we didn't know that they were planning to do these changes so fast. But anyway, we are here. Thank you very much for waiting us. And, well, it's like as every time, it's like, we would like to invite you to follow us in all our social networks. You can follow us on in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, please don't forget to put the bell there in order to know every time that we're uploading a new video. And also, if you would like to watch the previous episodes when we were like talking about different countries, different traditions, and of course, we have outstanding artists here. So while it's like, don't forget to visit that website on YouTube. It's very easy to find us, only the Latin America Show. Also, give us a like, and I would like to ask you if you can share this video with more people in order that they know exactly what are we doing and what is the real Latino life around the world. And also, it's not only Latinos, it's all the people that they are engaged with Latin America. And also, I would like to invite you, if you have some friends or you are linked with Latin America and you have something interesting that you would like to share with the audience, let us know, and you can come to the program and we can, of course, have an interview, or maybe you would like to present something that you are doing that is related to Latin America, and we will be very happy to share with the complete audience. So I have some people here. I have Abhijit as well. He was saying that, well, Tiempo Latino esta noche. Yeah, apologies for that. I already said that what was the issue that we had, and well, we are here now. Also, well, I think so. Thank you very much for all the people that they participate in the Bake Off Challenge, that it was an extraordinary experience, and also all the different participants that we had, that they had delicious bakery, cakes, pastries, etc. that they were producing. So it was really nice. And well, also I would like to congratulate, let me just look for the person. Let me congratulate, because, well, it's like the fourth prize is like now it's going to be, because, well, our friend from Argentina, she resigned to that prize. So so now the fourth prize, we are going to give it to Charo Jansen Quesada, that she's from Peru and she lives in Edinburgh. So congratulations, Charo. Of course, we will be in contact with you just to let you know how are we going to send you your prize. And also, well, thank you to all the people that they are supporting this program. And I would like to say hello to mis amigos, Roger Alarcon.
Hello, everyone. Still a little bit light outside, but I'm happy and delighted to be here today. I know we have this problem with the IP, but we are here. So you're going to spend the next hour and a half forgetting about, just turn off the news. Just go away for a bit, because you're going to see a very good show tonight.
Excellent, dear Roger. And on the other side, we have Whitney Nuchereno.
Hello, everyone. I hope that those of you in London got to go outside and get your 5 minutes of sunlight. I know I did. And I'm ready to start the show. Lots of really interesting guests, a little Spanish lesson coming up in a few minutes, and your favorite slang. So stay tuned.
Okay, and also, as Whitney said, so, well, what do we have in this show? Well, we're going to have different journeys across Latin America. We're going to discover a little more about Brazil. So we have our friend Laura that, well, she's going to tell us a little bit more about Brazil and the different attractions that they offer and where can you go once the lockdown will be over. And also we have an amazing figure skater that, well, she is from Mexico. She's ALEJANDRA. She's going to be with us. And in the music section, we are going to have a brilliant DJ and producer. He's Barzo, and he's from Costa Rica. Well, he has a mixture, but he's from Costa Rica, and he's based in Costa Rica. So, well, don't miss out. And I think so it's time to go with Whitney Nuchereno and the Spanish section.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So everyone, so tonight there are so many interesting topics, and I couldn't really pick one for the longest time. And then I thought, you know, we haven't really talked about the environment a lot. And this is a topic that every time I introduce it, my students moan and groan. But I just want to teach you a couple words, because with one of our guests, like Enrique said, so I'm not spoiling it anymore because it was already said, we're going to talk about some of the a bunch of topics concerning Brazil, and some of those are going to be some of the more nature oriented. So we're going to talk a little bit about the environment and el ecoturismo. So I'm just pulling up my notes right now. And so let's talk a little bit. So we have ecoturismo. We've talked about this in lots of other episodes about so many different types of tourism. You have, for example, turismo cultural, when you're looking at, you know, like learning more about the culture, turismo gastronómico, when you're there to like try out food and beverage, agroturismo, turismo de aventura. We talked about that last episode with some of the when we talked about the Fuera de Rutina blog. I think that was last episode or 2 episodes ago. And so part of a lot of like the theme I decided to stick with tonight was a little bit of Costa Rica, just because we haven't covered it a ton in our past episodes, I think like once or twice. So I really want to look into ecoturismo, which is something I teach in my classes, especially the observation of like birds and natural habitats in Costa Rica. So I thought, okay, let's do a little bit of el medio ambiente. First of all, la conservación. Anything that's ION is feminine, and this means like conservation, because a big part of ecotourism, part of how it thrives is the conservation of it so that it can live on. And then we have the next word, medio ambiente. Now, I've seen it written both ways. It could be one word. I've also seen it as 2 separate words. Either way is correct. And then we, of course, have la naturaleza. Most words that end in A, except for some words that end in MA, are feminine. So we have la conservación, ION, is feminine, and la naturaleza. We also have la flora y fauna. So for those of you who don't know, it's just same in English. Like flora is like kind of, you know, you have like the plants and then you have like the animals. So hablando de los animales, I'm only going to mention a couple. We have los pájaros y las aves. And the reason I mention this is because like when you're doing like any sort of ecotourism, especially in countries like Colombia, Costa Rica, they're known for its many different birds, excuse me. The numbers vary every year, but they're known for los pájaros endémicos, which are their endemic or local birds, or las aves. And just so you know, ave, we talked about the word ave, just like agua and arte. It's el, but when it's plural, it's las. It's one of those really weird words that starts with an A that generally is feminine, but the article in front of it, if you were to say el pájaro, you'd also call it el ave. Okay, and then we have las plantas, and specifically las flores. We talked about flowers a little bit in a couple of past episodes about like different flower like shows or exhibits at Kew Gardens, and that's las flores. And of course you have to talk about los árboles. And when we talk about los árboles, which are trees, okay, we have to think of el bosque. So el bosque is a way to say the woods or forest. But also we're going to be hopefully mentioning this tonight with our guest from Brazil. We have la selva. So la selva is one of the 2 ways to say jungle. Another way that I've heard is la jungla, but I've never really like heard or read that, but apparently it exists. And of course we have la selva amazónica, which spans across quite a few countries in South America, which we'll talk about tonight as well. So you have la selva amazónica, el bosque, and then of course, la laguna. And this is a word that you're going to see a little bit tonight when we talk about Brazil again. And then finally, this is a really short segment because there are a couple things I want to cover at the end. We have el río. So el río is river, and you have el lago, lake. And then again, and we're going to talk about this, we have la cascada or las cascadas y las cataratas or la catarata, which are waterfall, which we'll be discussing tonight. Now, another thing I want to ask you in the comments, okay, below in the next minute or 2 is what else do you want to learn in Spanish from this segment? Because this is something that I want to be helping you guys. So is there any sort of tourism you want me to get into? Any sort of vocabulary unit that you want me to cover? Certain expressions? Tell me and put it in the comments below. And the next part of my segment, like I said, this is a little bit short, is slang. But I wanted to take 2 seconds to talk about one slang word we talked about last time we talked about Costa Rica, and I have no idea how long ago that was. I think it was back in November, and that's pura vida. Okay, so Enrique and Roger, could you tell me what pura vida means? How would you use it?
To describe anything nice, pura vida. or anything like natural. It's pura vida.
And where do you mostly
like to describe a way of living?
Yeah. Does it have a good connotation or a negative connotation?
Good.
Yeah. So pura vida, and the reason I bring it up is because I'm going to do some Costa Rican slang, but this is one of the words I didn't include tonight. And I just thought, maybe we should review it because we talked about it in November. Pura vida literally means, if you're going to do a translation, pure life, but it's used for different purposes by native speakers. So it's generally a way that sums up like Costa Ricans, how they see life: positive, happy, and thankful. So if I were to say, ¿Cómo te fue el examen? Pura vida. Por ejemplo, te guardé un pedazo de pastel, pura vida, gracias, okay? So that's one of the words that we're gonna do. That's an intro to Costa Rican slang, which you're gonna do tonight. So again, a little bit of el medio ambiente. Some words here, some words there. And next we're gonna do some slang in the second half, but you're gonna have to wait till then. So that's about it. Put in the comments below what you would like to see in future segments so that I can tailor these lessons to you. That's about it. Short and sweet, like you said.
Thank you very much, Whitney. And well, I just want to use it, just to say quickly, hello to all the people that they are watching us. Nicholas Leaks, also Annalise, I can see Gary Dancy. And well, you're not putting tonight to the audience to put something in the comment section?
No, I have that for the second half of my segment. And if you were paying attention, they're supposed to write what, well, you called me out, I'm gonna call you out. What they would like for me to teach next segment, the next few segments. That's the first comment. But in the comment section, you will be sharing something in Spanish. Just stay tuned. I'm gonna mix it up a little. Can't always do the same thing.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, Whitney. So, well, it's like, I think so, as we were saying at the beginning, let's have a trip around Brazil. So I think so over you, Whitney.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so one of our amazing guests for this evening is Laura RENDELL-DUNN, who is a successful travel consultant that works primarily with travel to Latin America with the company Journey Latin America, which happens to be the UK's leading specialist in travel to, you guessed it, Latin America. Growing up with a Brazilian mother and marrying an Anglo-Peruvian, Laura's rare passion and deep cultural knowledge, it makes her the perfect spokesperson to talk about all corners of the Americas. And we are delighted to have her to speak with us tonight, particularly about Brazil. So thank you so much, Laura, for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Whitney. What an amazing introduction. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. What a lovely welcome.
Thank you. And thank you so much for being a part of our show. And we hope that this is one of many conversations, as you are vastly, vastly knowledgeable about all of Latin America. But before we get into Brazil specifically, what made you get into the tourism business, particularly for Central and South America?
Yeah, so you mentioned that my mother is from Brazil, and so I always had a passion for the region. And from that, I was speaking Portuguese from an early age, and I learned Spanish at school. And so that was a natural interest for me. And so, yeah, I wanted to study Latin American studies at university. And when I left, as you do at the age of 21, you have no idea what you want to do with your life. And so I thought, okay, let's go for a job in travel. I think at the time, Journey Latin America was advertising for a position in the flights department. We used to sell a lot of tickets to Brazil. And yeah, I remember going for the interview and thinking, this was 20 years ago, by the way, and thinking, what do I really want to do with my life? But I better ask them, lots of questions to make sure that, they think I'm very much interested in the job. And yeah, fast forward to 2021. And yeah, I'm still here. I worked as a tour leader in sales, and now I do a lot of public relations for the company.
Okay, wonderful. Wow.
Well,
that's
sounds
so. In a nutshell, I know our time's limited.
Yeah, you covered a lot. Nicely done.
And well, also, it's like as we're talking and we're featuring Brazil this time, and I would let's start with Rio de Janeiro, and it's like, what is the city like? And I don't know if you can tell us what are some of the sites that you've you feature on your tours?
Rio is, of course, I'm biased, but it is an absolutely beautiful city. I mean, for me, honestly, it has to be one of the most beautiful cities in all the world. There's not many places that you can find these huge mountain outcrops covered in dense coastal rainforest, a natural lagoon, a jungle growing inside the city, huge golden sweeping beaches, Copacabana Beach, Ipanema Beach. So it really is incredibly beautiful. And I just think, yeah, there's my daughter there in the background, and my son. Yeah, it's a fantastic city. And even every time I fly into Rio, I get so excited. My heart starts pounding because it's a city with lots of energy, and there's music everywhere. And there is such a great atmosphere. Of course, Rio Carnival. But it's just everybody, it's a very party-like, relaxed atmosphere. And in fact, Rio, it gets a lot of stick from the other neighboring cities, particularly its rival Sao Paulo, because it's such a beautiful holiday destination. And people from Sao Paulo tend to say that the people from Rio, they're too relaxed, they don't know what a hard-working day is. Well, when you live in a city like Rio, it's really difficult to concentrate on your work because it's such an amazing place to be. But yeah, certainly on all our tours, any tour that goes to Brazil, you have to spend 2 or 3 nights. If you could spend more, that would be fantastic. But of course, lots of people's times are limited and they want to see other places within Brazil. So yeah, if you can spend 2-3 nights, then you get to see Sugarloaf Mountain, Corcovado on the statue of Christ, Ipanema Beach, the botanical gardens, and those are sort of the classic sites. But certainly there's certainly plenty more to see there. There's the Arches of Lapa. You have the little tram that heads to Santa Teresa Mountain. Now you can see Guanabara Bay. This is the Museum of Tomorrow. It was inaugurated a few years ago, shortly after Rio hosted the 2016 Olympics. So plenty to see and do there.
And just one question, and regarding to visiting Rio, you were saying, like, for example, spending 4 nights there, and that could be like a good time, 3-4 nights. But it's like talking about a budget. How expensive is traveling to Rio? I don't know, for people in the UK, more or less, how much is going to cost these 4 nights being there, and excluding the airplane ticket, but it's like, how much do they have to have, more or less? Well,
fortunately, we're very lucky in Brazil that we have direct flights to Rio. Lots of countries in South America don't have direct flights. So at least there are lots of airlines flying there, so there are cheaper opportunities to travel out there. Particularly if you look to travel in a lower or mid-season, so avoiding like the peak holidays of Christmas. But for 4 nights, I mean, it depends on the style of accommodation. You know, you can stay in a very simple, lovely B&B in Copacabana for, I don't know, I would imagine £30-40 a night with breakfast included. And of course, Brazilians do breakfast incredibly well. A brilliant buffet, amazing spread of fruits and hams and cheeses and breads and all sorts of nice sweets. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on your budget. Rio is a city that can cater for all people, from the backpacker to somebody who wants to stay in the high-end Belmont Copacabana Palace, one of the most beautiful and stunning hotels in Rio.
Brilliant.
Roger, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm in mute, I know. Well, you're talking about one of the best topics and the most attractive for me. What about the food and the drinks? What are the best places? I know we are in COVID now, but this is just information for British people, so they start to find out where they're going to for the next places. But tell us a bit more about the richness about the food and the drinks.
Well, I hope there's not many other questions to ask me after this, because I could talk to you all night about the food in Brazil. It's so delicious. It really is. It's absolutely divine. For people that don't know about Brazilian cuisine, it's typically, Brazil is a mixture of cultures. You have African cultures, you have Portuguese cultures, you have the indigenous cultures, German culture. And so it's a whole sort of hot pot of lovely foods, but typically Brazilian food will be beans, rice, lots of nice meats, Brazil's very famous for its steaks and meat houses known as churrascarias, where people will just turn up and you can eat a lovely selection of meats depending on what you like. But also the seafood is incredible. And, you know, there are a couple of places in Rio that, if I can give some tips, I'd love to suggest O Caranguejo. It's nothing fancy at all, and you probably will never hear about it in any of the guidebooks, but that is my personal recommendation. That's my tip of, if you want to eat fresh lobster or have a really lovely seafood rice with octopus, it's in Copacabana, but it's maybe 5-6 roads back from the main beachfront, so it's not in a touristy area, but it's really popular with the locals, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's really divine.
Oh, perfect. And I know, like, a lot of travelers, at least I would prefer to go to like some of the off-beaten like tracks, because that's how you get a real sense of the culture and the food and, you know, where the locals go.
But also somewhere also where the locals go, and I think this is really good for tourists, is there's a restaurant called, they call them Pesa y Paga, so weigh and pay. And these are sort of just very average, typical, like almost what we would call like a cafe restaurant. You just walk in, anybody from Rio goes, from any walk of life, walks in there, but the food is all displayed on a buffet. And so you get your plate, and you can literally, you eat with your eyes, so you can choose the food, and there's all nicely labeled, so, and you put it on your plate, a lady weighs it at the end, and so you only pay for the weight of food on your plate. But it's a really good way for English people or for any tourist who doesn't know what the food is like in Brazil to sample bits and pieces without sort of worrying about going to a big fancy restaurant and having to fork out a lot of money on food. Actually, talking of restaurants, one tip I do have is that Brazilians like big portions of food. So if you're going as a couple, one meal is definitely enough for 2 people. Oh. Don't think you have to order individual plates. Usually one dish is definitely enough for 2 people.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Anyway, I need to go to a big budget, because imagine if they wait what I eat. Oh my God. That's gonna be...
No, but it's good value. It's very good value. It's not an expensive way to eat, and you're going to be eating with the locals, so that's a big plus.
Any recommendations on like bars, like somewhere to go and grab a drink or a cocktail, or let's we're all hungry to like get out to the get a drink.
Definitely. So Ipanema, I mean, there are hundreds of places, but literally, I think for a tourist on their first visit, if you go to Vera Soto is the main avenue that runs, it's the beach avenue in Ipanema. If you go one street behind, you'll find loads of bars, and there are tons of places. And I think you just have to choose. It's literally, they're all stacked one after the other. You just choose where you see that there's lots of people, there's a good vibe. But being Rio, everywhere is like, it's lots of pumping nightlife, but Brazilians go out late is what I was going to say, and so if you go out at 6-7 o'clock, don't expect to find the bars very busy, but if you head out about 10-11 o'clock at night, you're going to find lots of lovely places. But for somebody who wants a really special drink or a sunset drink, I'd really recommend heading to the Belmont in the Copacabana Palace, because that's a beautiful place for a lovely cocktail. It doesn't have to be a caipirinha, the Brazilian national cocktail. It could be any other sort of tipple of your choice. Otherwise, if you go to the seafront around 5:30 and Ipanema, that's where the sun sets in Rio, behind the 2 mountains at the end of Ipanema Beach. They're called Os Dois Irmãos, and it's absolutely beautiful. You can see some of the best sunsets, and you can go to one of these little stalls or beach shacks on the beach, order yourself a caipirinha. It's only going to cost you a couple of pounds, and you can just have the most amazing sunset right in front of Ipanema Beach. It's incredible.
Actually, it looks impressive, that view, the sunset that you just put, Roger. And sorry, just one question that I have here is like, and they are asking that, is like, is spicy the food, the Brazilian food, is spicy?
No, actually, that's quite a common misconception. A lot of people think that South American food is really spicy, so Brazilian food is spicy. Brazilians love spice in their food, but they don't make the food spicy. They like to add the spice on the side. So you'll have all these amazing stews, and then Brazilians will often, they'll serve like a little pot of chili sauce or pepper sauce, and then you just add the spice that you want. So you're not going to have hot, spicy food.
Look at that beautiful.
That's the feijoada. That's the national dish of Brazil. Lots of black beans and pork, and yeah, it's absolutely divine.
And of course,
but
if you were talking...
Sorry, you need a siesta.
After that one, yes, I'm pretty sure you needed just to calm down a little bit, yeah. And of course, well, as you were talking about drinks, etc., well, people, they should try a coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. But and Brazilians like their coffee very strong and very sweet. So just be warned that normally when you order a coffee, it actually comes with sugar, quite a lot of sugar already in it. So yeah, you might want to try it first before adding extra sugar. But yeah, the coffee in Brazil is like in Colombia and many other parts of South America. It's absolutely delicious, and if you get the opportunity, you must try it.
You're convincing us. I mean, just with Rio alone in the food scene, I think all of us just want to go right now. I would like to venture a little bit out of the city and talk about one of the must-see destinations, which is Iguazu Falls. So could you please tell us a little bit more about it, as far as where it's located, how to get there, and what makes it so special?
Yeah, certainly. Iguazu Falls are absolutely, they're probably, I would say they're considered Latin America's most awe-inspiring natural site. I think they were voted recently as one of the 7 wonders of the world. So they are incredible. And a lot of people, when I used to work as a tour leader, often I would take clients around the Iguazu Falls, but prior to going, they said, Laura, we had absolutely no idea what we were going to find. You know, people think you're going to see a single drop waterfall where you just stand in front and take the one, image, and then you walk off. But it's not actually like that. The Iguazu Falls are located on the border with Argentina, so in the south of Brazil, very close to the Paraguay border as well. They span a distance of 1.7, just under 2 miles. There are 275 waterfalls. Some of the tallest waterfalls are about 82 meters high, and it's a place where you must go for at least 2 nights. If you can have 3 nights there, that would be the ideal, because you have what people do is they would spend 1 day exploring the Brazilian side of the falls, and then another day exploring the Argentinian side of the falls. It's very easy to cross between the 2 borders. You need, of course, to have your passport, but you would explore the 2. So the advantage of being on the Brazilian side is that you have the whole panorama of the Iguazu Falls, whereas on the Argentinian side, you don't have the full panorama, but you get much closer up to the falls. And there are miles of little trails and walkways and boat trips that you can do to go under the falls. So prepare to get wet.
Yes.
But it's a very, very, very beautiful location to visit. And sometimes people ask me, Laura, when is the best time to go? Because, when will I see the falls at their fullest? And certainly, so Brazil's rainy season runs like December, January, February, March. So that's when you'll see the falls at their fullest. And the amount of water that's running through those waterfalls is just incredible. But it's quite a murky, muddy water. It's quite red. But if you travel during the dry season, so looking at July, August, September, the water is like in the image behind me. It's very white. It's very light and fluffy. And it's great for photos. But there's less water at that time of year, so it's not as impressive as in December.
So I love to be wet, so I don't mind. Yeah, I want to go.
It's very hot there. It's very hot. You will appreciate it.
Yeah, it would be like just refreshing, being there, and also, so it's going to be nice. And of course, Iguazu is part of a national park. And what other attractions they can find in this park? Yeah, so the Iguazu Falls, both on the Argentinian side and on the Brazilian side, they're both inside national parks, so they're both in protected areas. But the main point of being there, it really is to see the falls. However, there's lots of wildlife that you can discover. You can do a helicopter ride above the falls for amazing
aerial shots of the falls, but you can also see toucans, macaws, parrots, monkeys, and that's why also I think it's a place to spend 3 nights and not just 2 nights. Basically 2 nights means you get 1 full day to explore the falls. Have another day just to go back, relax, not sort of being there trying to do all the walkways, just to enjoy the wildlife. Loads of butterflies. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful there. But just outside the national park, if you want to visit, there's Iguazu Dam for anyone who's interested in engineering. And it's also a special bird park for people who want to understand more about macaws and hyacinth macaws and various other types of birds.
Wow, that's amazing. And well, we're talking about Brazil, then Iguazu, and there's another attraction the tourist must see, which is the Emerald Coast. Can you tell us a bit how it's like and where is in Brazil? How far from Sao Paulo is?
Yeah, so the Emerald Coast is located between Rio and São Paulo, and it's called the Emerald Coast for that reason, because it's a green coast. It's really lush. So Rio, you have this huge mountain range running down the coastline, and it's covered with what we call Mata Atlântica, or coastal rainforest. So it's really dense, beautiful, thick jungle. But traveling from Rio to get to the Emerald Coast is a great place to visit for a beach wind down. For example, you've done a visit, you've been to Rio, you've been to the Iguazu Falls, and then actually, how about a few days on a beach? And whilst Copacabana and Ipanema beaches are absolutely beautiful, there's a great vibe to them, they're city beaches. So it's actually quite nice to chill out, get away from the city, and also you'll find colonial gems like this one you can see here, Parachi. Parachi is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It has some beautifully Baroque architecture. It's lovely preserved cobbled streets, pristine beaches. You go there for the lovely arts and crafts. They hold a literary festival once a year. You have these lovely, beautiful painted doorways. It's got a great cafe culture. It's very relaxed and chilled vibe. There's no actual beach in Parachi, so what you would probably do is jump on a schooner or hire a boat and you'd go to one of the nearby islands. But it's absolutely gorgeous. It's really idyllic. It's like stepping back in time. There are also a number of coffee plantations and cachaça plantations nearby for anybody who wants to visit. So cachaça, for people who don't know, is the rum that makes caipirinha, the potent Brazilian cocktail drink. And cachaça is rum that's distilled from sugarcane. So you have lots of sugarcane plantations. So it's a really interesting place to visit. And if you're interested in your spirits, you can learn all about the process there. But yeah, so where is it? It's 4.5 hours drive from Rio. So, it's a little bit of a distance to go to, but certainly worth the while to do. The other place that's really lovely to visit is Ilha Grande, the big island. So, which is quite ironic because it's not the big island. There are several islands around there. It's quite a small island. There are no cars on the island, and it takes about 1.5 hours to get there by ferry from a place called Angra dos Reis, which is about 2.5 hour drive from Rio. But once you're there, I went there with my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, in about 2004, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely pristine. We fell in love with it. We thought if we were going to come and live in Brazil, this is the place that we would come to live. We went there 3 years ago with our children, which you've seen now from the images, and we were a little bit reluctant because we thought surely it's will have changed by now, it's going to be really built up. And yes, there are more pousadas in the village of Abraão, and yes, there were more tourists there, but it's still definitely pristine and it's absolutely beautiful, and I hope it stays that way.
And just one final question, Laura. What is the thing that you most enjoy about Latin America?
Well, that's a really tough question because
I know.
I have to also be diplomatic here. I think my husband, who's from Peru, is upstairs listening. Oh no, for me it has to be the beaches of Brazil. I love the beach culture. I love the Brazilian culture. I love that laid back vibe. I love the food. And yes, lots of, I love, South America's got some stunning landscapes, the Andes Mountains, Patagonia, we're really spoilt for choice, the Amazon jungle. But for me, it's holidays is about relaxing by the beach, eating good food, being with friends and celebrating. So yeah, for me, it's Brazil's coastline.
I love how you incorporated like 3 answers into one.
Yeah.
I'll get told off otherwise.
Sorry, Enrique.
No, I know, and actually, like, yeah, I know, and it's like, it's just like a kind of challenge about how people they can summarize or say something, because I know that, well, it's very difficult, and it's the same if you are asking, I think so, from any country in the world, that sometimes you have like a mixture of different things that you say, I don't know if I have to talk about the landscapes or people or the food or drinks or I don't know, the nightlife or whatever. So it's very difficult to define. But Laura, we're sharing here with the audience, of course, the website that, well, people, they can find you, that, well, of course, is journeylatinamerica.co.uk. If people, they would like to know more information about traveling, because also you offer a lot of different destinations that also I would like that, well, in further episodes, you can come here and maybe we can talk about different countries.
That would be a pleasure. Thank you very much. I'd love to do that.
Brilliant. Laura, well, thank you very much. Thank you, Journey Latin America. And of course, well, it's like keep safe and let us know when you have something new. But of course, you're very welcome coming here to talk about different countries.
Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Have a lovely
evening. Have a lovely evening. Buenas noches. Boa noite.
Boa noite. Well, if you want to travel to Latin America and you're making plans, once the lockdown is over, well, there is here a possibility that you can just Google it. It's very easy, journeylatinamerica.co.uk, and you can find a lot of different destinations that, well, you will enjoy. And, well, just moving forward, I just want to say that, well, our next guest, well, she born in León, Mexico, and she started as a figure skater at the age of 8 years old. So very, very young. Actually, it's very difficult to read all the different things that she has done in her career, but she has been 3 times Mexican national champion, the first place in an international competition in 2007 in Switzerland. She has been in the Ice Theater of New York in 2011, in the Sochi Experience at the Lincoln Center, also in the New York. And also she has been a principal image for the new soda Pepsi 7-Up Lemonade and the TV commercial as a figure skater. Also, she participated in Illusion on Ice in Mexico in 2017. And also, if you remember, maybe you remember her because you watch it on TV here in the UK, because she was one of the finalists on Dancing on Ice in 2018 here in the UK. And also, she was the principal at the TV series Dancing on Ice in Netherlands in 2019-2020, and a principal pair skater for Winter Wonderland in SeaWorld in Orlando in 2020. Actually, well, she's advertising the image of synthetic ice brand Polyglide Ice that, well, if you had the opportunity to watch the video promo that we had, well, she was like skating in the roof of one of the buildings in New York. So this is the brand that, well, she's the image of this brand. And she's the principal performer for the company in Ice Theater of New York in this season 2021. So welcome, Ale Izquierdo. How are you, Ale?
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. How are you? Well, good. I'm really happy and excited to be here, especially because I'm all the way in New York City. So it's still daytime, whether you guys are already on nighttime. And I'm just really happy to be here again with you.
Well, no, actually, it's our pleasure. And, well, it's like, well, I know that, well, we had the opportunity to meet you in 2018, actually, when you had the opportunity to be here in London and you were participating in Dancing on Ice. And, well, when I was watching the videos and all the different performances that you have done, etc., the first question that is coming to my mind is like, how many hours did you practice every day or every week?
Well, I'm on the ice, yes, every day. I don't take days off. So I don't train as much as I used to train when I was competing. I used to train probably even 8 hours a day on the ice, plus off ice, which is go to the gym, stretching at home afterwards and all that. But now I don't train that much. I feel like my body has training. So a few hours a day, it's enough. Obviously, when I'm in contract, when I'm performing or I'm on tour, is a different thing. When I was in dancing on ice, we were skating and we were on the ice all day long, teaching celebrities how to skate and practicing with them. So, depending on what project I'm taking part of, it's a different time of training. But when I'm home, I'm still on the ice at least 1 or 2 sessions a day just to maintain it. Yeah.
And 1 or 2 sessions per day that you're saying, but how many hours means that? 1 hour each one? Or more?
I like to skate the 80 minutes, 90-minute sessions. So that means if I make 2 sessions of those, it might be longer. But I'm also teaching a lot on these days. So when I'm not performing, I'm still on my skates, teaching and giving lessons for people. So it's a lot of hours on the ice for sure.
Well, that's and also the part that is interesting. Sorry, Roger. The part that is interesting is that it's like, you're from Mexico, and in Mexico we know that it's not a popular sport, ice skating.
No.
And actually, because we don't have a lot of infrastructure for this, and actually we don't have the weather for this mainly.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, where this ice skater journey started?
Well, I started when I was 8. I'm from León, Guanajuato, which is in the center of Mexico. And I already have been doing ballet since I was 3. All the way until I was probably like 9. But when I was 8 years old, they opened an ice rink in my city. And I just remember asking my mom, like, what is ice skating? Like, please take me there. And she was like, later, we will pass by the building. And I remember one day I just I couldn't wait any longer. So I just told her, like, please, I really need to go in. I was not even prepared. I didn't have a jacket. I didn't have socks on me. Mexico is super warm. So I was on shorts. I was in sandals. And she thought, I'm going to let her in 5 minutes. She's going to freeze and she's going to, let's go. Because we didn't even
care about this. And she's going to say, no, this is not my thing.
Well, we were not planning on doing that activity that day. So I was just like, come on, mom, please. So we went in and it took 2 hours. And in 2 hours, I was still in. My mom couldn't get me out. I did wear those skates, the rental skates without any socks. And, it's not comfortable at all. But I was just having a blast. I was just so happy. And I'm like, by the time I came out of the ice, I told my mom, like, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm transitioning into this sport. I'm going to drop ballet and gymnastics. I'm just going to focus on this. I already have a coach. I found somebody who was already there. I'm like, I'm going to be taking lessons from this person. I'm going to have a pink dress. I already had the idea of what I was going to perform for the first time. And so, I started skating there. And I started to compete really soon after that. And national competitions around, like in Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico City, Puebla, different cities around Mexico. And obviously, at some point, I started to do better, but they closed a rink in my city. And so I couldn't keep going. And some people told my parents, like, you should send her to a city, like another place where she could skate. That at that time there were not too many rinks in Mexico, but somebody suggested, like, why don't you send her to the US or Canada? She can keep studying and skating. And my mom was like, no, she's too young for that. Like, there's other things. She can play football, like soccer. She can play soccer here. There's so many things to do in Mexico. She's like, no. And I did quit for some years. And then I came back already, still a teenager, but more on towards like being a grown up. And I went back into it. I really liked it. So I decided to devote myself into the sport. And that's why I came into summer camp in New Jersey, which is like right across the river. And I really liked it. And I decided to stay in the US to train for that. And so I competed a little bit more, a little bit internationally. And since then, I decided to transition for professional, which means you don't compete anymore. You perform around the world. You get paid to do it. And that's what I've been doing since. And so a little bit what you explained, it's been my almost 10 years of professional career, which has been just performing around the world in different shows, TV. Sometimes I tour around and sometimes it's stationary, depending on what contract I'm doing. And yes, when I'm back home, which is New York now, I've been here for 12 years. I am part of the company Skater of New York, which is performing around different areas in New York City, like Rockefeller Center, Central Park, or the rink that I normally train at, which is called Chelsea Piers, that I'm actually here right now because I just finished teaching. And yeah, that's kind of my life in a nutshell, my journey with skating.
So I've got a question. Sorry, Whitney.
No, it's okay.
Obviously, you explained us a long career in just very shortly, but I want to touch because of audience here in Britain, the British. Obviously, how you felt it as a Latin American, when you arrived here in a show where it's got a national acceptance. It's been for years, Eyes on the Sky, and then you've been selected. How you felt as a Latin American, and also how you was received with your partners, the people you was teaching, the actors. How was all these happening for you as a Latin American?
Well, for me, it was a huge honor. It truly was a huge honor. First of all, when I knew they were casting, I really wanted, but I thought, what are the chances? There's 12 people. There's always 12 couples in the cast. So it's only 12 chances for professional figure skaters from all over the world to be invited to the show. So it was just kind of I'm going to give it a try, and I'm just going to be there and be myself. I love skating, but also I'm just more than a skater. I think I'm I have a lot of the Mexican side in me, and Mexicans, as you know, we can be really fun and celebrating life in many different ways and kind of sassy. And so I was I'm just going to be myself. They held auditions in different parts of the world, and they were coming to New York, but I didn't know. They were kind of holding it back. If they were finding people already in the first auditions in the UK, they were not going to come this way. So I didn't want to take the chance. And I flew all the way to London to live audition for them. And I don't know if that's something that made them realize how much I wanted it. But they really, I guess my audition went well, and they invited me. And it was an honor as a person, from Hispanic heritage, to be able to be accepted and welcome to a show of this kind, because most of the people that skate there are from Britain or English people. And so the fact that I was not just a skater that's coming from other side of the world, but I'm representing the Spanish speaking population. I'm representing the Latin people, I'm representing something that it's just so it's in my heart, it's in my blood. For me, it was an honor, and I felt through the whole series that the support from the Hispanic community was absolutely amazing and unbelievable. The way how people received it at home, and the way how people identified with a person who came from a country that has no skating or not this kind of shows was massive. So all the not just Mexico, but all the Latin American community was very welcoming, and they were very happy to see that our countries can make it somewhere and can represent as well, even in sports that don't really identify with our countries.
And not only that, is what an honor for you to skate as a Latin American in front of one of the most influential couples of skating in the world. They were the Olympic champions. Yes. So yes. How was the interaction with them?
It was really cool because it was actually the last series from Dancing on Ice that has had the live tour. So we went touring around the UK, and that part, it's produced by them, by Chris and Christine and Jane. So it was an honor to also be invited to the tour by them, and to be judged by them, and to be just part of, I mean, what are the chances that this Olympic champions who are known worldwide are going to be judging you in a competition that is televised for a whole entire country, but also known in the entire world. My mind was absolutely in a different planet. And I remember that I was so nervous every time, but I also felt that the honor was bigger. Like I felt so proud of like achieving that kind of level that I felt like I needed to make them proud and try my best.
Wow, that's amazing.
And sorry, Ale, when you were like, for example, before you take this kind of decision, like saying, I'm not going to continue with this part of the competitions, and I'm just going to be more related with shows and this kind of entertainment. It's like, before that, it's like one question. Did you have any champion that it was like like you said, is my favorite and I want to be like this one? When you were in this stage of competitions, do you have a favorite one?
Well, the person that actually made me really want to skate when I was a kid, I didn't even try it, but I remember watching it at the Olympics. It was the only event that was televised in Mexico for figure skating. So you had to wait like 4 years to be able to watch that. Like Mexico is not so popular, so that was never a thing. So I remember watching that and being like, what is it? Like, what is even to have blades underneath your shoes? And so like, I couldn't even figure out that I was skates. And we did have rollers, but in my head, it was a whole different thing to be over a huge surface of an ice. This is like a big ice cube. So I was watching that, and there was this skater called Philippe Candeloro, which is a French guy who did a routine for the Three Musketeers. So he dressed as a musketeer, and he was having this footwork sequence that it was super quick and fast, and his foot were like doing these kind of things. And I was just like, I really want to try that. So he was the one who inspired me to really want to try. But I think there's been a lot of inspiring skaters through my journey, especially when I was a kid. There was Charlie Pinsky, a skater who won the Olympics when she was 15. And that to me was like, okay, if a girl of that young age can achieve to be not only at the Olympics, but to win it, it was for me a whole eye opener of like, any kid can dream as high as they want and just make it there. So she was a big inspiration for me as well, among many other people, but those two were something that made me want to start.
And how did you feel when you, like, for example, when you were watching, as you were saying, all these kind of different performances and different jumps and I don't know, different positions, etc. It's like, how did you feel when you were saying, now I am doing this? So it's like, I remember when I was a child, I was like, and now, of course, I'm not saying that it's very easy. It was years and years, but how did you feel with that? Like, say, yes, I am.
Well, it's kind of funny because I don't think I ever thought about, like, obviously every kid dreams about being at the Olympics. And I kind of wanted that. But when I knew that I had a huge gap in between, I knew that I was never going to make it. But I thought just to like, let me see how far I can get, like how far what I can achieve. And I never had the ultimate goal, but then at some point I remember looking back and being like, wow, I'm already training in the United States. That's a huge thing. Or like, wow, I'm already competing in Switzerland. And I just went there thinking just like, what an experience to compete in Switzerland. Never even thought I was going to win it. So after that, I was like, wow, I came all the way to Switzerland. And now I competed against girls from Italy, from Netherlands, from Switzerland, from Russia. And I literally just happened to win this competition in my level at that time. And I was just like, okay, it's cool. But like, I never really had a specific goal. It was just a matter of putting a foot in front of another and just continue to move forward. And now it blows my mind to look back at the journey when I'm just watching these images of Dancing on Ice tour, even being able to do the things that you're seeing right now and teaching a person who never skated before to lift me over his head and trust him with that. It's like, how did I even make it there? Like, I have no clue, but like for me, it's cool to see all these. You explained a little bit of my curriculum and like how the things that I've done. And I was like, I never expected to be the image for a Pepsi commercial for skating. And so these kind of things, when I look back, I'm like, I'm very grateful, but I'm also really proud. And like I said, they were never the ultimate goal, but they just kept aligning along the way. And I'm just very happy and grateful that I've been able to just grab everything that life is throwing at me and continue to keep going forward.
And in that way, it's like also, well, I have a question. Sorry, I have a question for the audience. It's like they're asking, like, what is your favorite song or music track to dance on ice?
To skate.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, yeah.
Especially after dancing on ice, I don't really have a specific one because, as you can remember, sometimes I had something very classical and very pretty. That one that we have there, it's called the Pencil Full of Lead, and that was a really fast skating, and it was more like Great Gatsby type of performance. But sometimes we had rock and roll, sometimes we had something more salsa or dancey, and I enjoy a lot of all of them. And the cool thing is that some of them I never experienced before, so I didn't have any idea. I enjoy tango a lot. Like, that was something in my competitive years. I will perform into tango music so much because I think it's more related with, I know that tango is not Mexican, but it's salsa, tango, all these like Latin kind of musics, they suit me really well. So I enjoy that kind of music.
And I have a question, actually, dialing back to like what we were talking about earlier when you were talking about, oh my God, I can't believe like I did that jump and like this and that. Do you prefer skating, be honest, solo or with a partner? And with a partner, how do you trust them? How do you build that trust to have you just throw them up in the air and have them throw you up in the air and just catch you, or all these lifts and crazy, because that's really impressive to do. And you obviously couldn't do that overnight with someone, right? So can you explain a little bit what you prefer and the dynamics? Thank you.
Of course. So I used to enjoy skating solo a lot more just because I always competed as a solo skater. And so, and I remember I was suggested to skate pairs just because I was very short and light and I was perfect size to be thrown. But I never wanted because I was always so afraid. So it's very interesting that as I transitioned to professional, I started to do, there you go. That's with Max Evans. And I was very lucky to have a rugby player as a partner. So he was an athlete, and that's the reason why we were able to do all these lifts and achieve really hard things that none other couples were able to achieve at that competition. But so yes, I transitioned into pairs as I went professional, and I learned all the professional lifts and how to be lifted, how to be thrown on the air, how to spin on the air when somebody threw me, and then either be landing on the ice or the person will catch me. So this came later in my career, and funny enough, now I enjoy much more skating with a partner, and I enjoy much more performing with a partner in shows. However, if I get invited to skate on my own, I'm happy to do it as well. I just did some recent footage with Ice Theater of New York here that we skated as an ensemble, which is like everybody skating solo, but in a group. So we're moving together, and it's a whole different thing because you have to be tracking people and moving, like, let's say all of these fingers are people, they have to be moving together. So you have to keep looking at each other. It's like a synchro skating. And so it's really, really cool. And all of those things I enjoy differently, but the most for me is definitely skating with a partner. And I really enjoy teaching people, like the whole process of dancing on ice. It's definitely one of the things that I enjoy the most on these days.
I can tell you, I was lucky to see you live. I was there.
Yes, I remember.
Watching you, as you say, it's funny to say, been throwing. But when you are like four couples, I mean, you have blades. It's still a danger when you're doing the adrenaline kicks. In all these experience, how you can tell the new generations, the new girls and boys, they want to do that. What is the best advice you can give it to them?
Well, for me, I think the biggest advice I could give to the new generations, or even the people that really want to try, you don't have to be that young, is that like everything starts with an idea or one dream, and it takes it from there. Like for me, like I said before, I didn't have a solid dream. I never even saw myself doing TV shows, ever dreamed about like performing around the world, touring around. Like when you saw me live, I was performing probably in front of like 10,000 people in a huge arena. Never in my mind ever, like never in my life thought about that. And so, but the thing is that if you are passionate about something, if you like something enough, continue to pursue the path, continue to put the work, continue to be passionate, but also put the effort, put the time in, and don't ever get disappointed. I know all sports are hard. This one is specifically really hard, as you just mentioned. Having blades is dangerous. Being thrown by a person is dangerous. But don't get discouraged. I did fail many times. I still do. Injuries are part of sports. But as long as you continue to dream high and to really put an effort into becoming something, whatever it is that you are at, it doesn't need to be skating. It could be any other sport, or even if you want to be a musician or anything that you're working on, it's all about really giving the best you got. So I encourage all of you guys to keep trying, dream high, and you still can make it somewhere. Like that's 100%. Like, I see a lot of people who I am really inspired by, and I always think that their journey started very little in this, like a seed, and you just keep watering it until it becomes a plant, and the plant becomes a tree, and you just got to keep watering the plant.
And I have two questions for you, Ale, that they are doing here from the audience. That it's like, the first one is like, what is the most difficult move to do for you?
For me, okay.
That maybe you said you need to practice more or something. Yeah.
I still get terrified to be thrown by someone, because I did not get that practice when I was competing. I learned that skill as a grown-up. So I was always used to jump on my own, achieve my own height and speed, and like everything was on me. But then when you're being thrown by someone, if that person throws you in a different way, or like a little off, timing is off, and you're achieving so much height, it's hard. And landing from that height, for me, it gets me really afraid. So I still could do it, but it's not my favorite, and I got to practice. And if you ask me right now, like, okay, just go and do it, I need to have a few days before to like get adjusted with a person and know that I'm going to land from a higher place. And so, yeah, that's for me the hardest.
So it's more like the dependency that you have, because you need to know the other person in that way. And the other question is more like,
it's tricky because all the tricks that I do over the head and all the other things that they're more dangerous, I'm not so afraid of, which is funny. Like if somebody throws me like this on the air, I just rotate and then I land. And some people are like, how come for you you're more afraid than being backflipping over a head of someone? And all those really crazy tricks that I do, I am never afraid of. Like I'm reckless when it comes to like doing all over the heads, or like there's the headbanger or bounce spin that you are grabbed by the ankle and then you're being spun and then your head is almost hitting the ice. That's why they call it the headbanger. It's a really risky, dangerous move. And I've seen people that they have not ended well, because obviously things can go bad, and that does not scare me as much as the other. So, it's funny.
Okay, well,
what's the move with the one
headbanger
grab you from the leg? Headbanger is the one, because I saw you really, you was 3 inches from the ice.
Yes.
Your head, it was 3 inches from the ouch.
That move, I only do it with a professional skater, not with a celebrity partner. And you gotta kind of really trust the person. So like I was doing it with Dan Wisdom, which is like, he has been part of the show many years. He's a great skater. And so I trusted him. But yeah, it can be a very dangerous move. And like I said, I've seen not many people ending well on it. So you got to know who you're skating with. You can trust him. It takes a little bit of practice, and then you get to perform it.
And just a couple of more questions, and the first one is going to be like, well, is there any particular place that you would like to skate in? So is there any place that is like your dream place, like saying, I would like to skate?
You know what? I would love to go to Iceland or maybe Alaska and like skate in one of those outdoor natural lakes. Not even lakes, it's like sometimes there's a whole, you don't even know if you're on the ocean already, but it's all frozen and it's getting more popular. So you can see it on Instagram. Few people have had like really nice places and with a drone and make it really cool. That's a dream for me. So, and I have never skated in natural ice. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. Either it could be even the canals from Netherlands that they just got frozen this year. So people got to skate up the Netherlands canal. So I was like, oh, come on. Last year I was performing at Dancing on Ice Netherlands and that didn't happen. And then this year the show didn't happen because of the pandemic and the thing is frozen. I'm just like, bad timing.
Yeah, it was like a change there. And well, it's like, well, anyway, it didn't have the opportunity. Right. And well, just sorry, Whitney, you want?
Yeah, no. I have a question, but you go first because
because mine is the last one, so that'll be.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna totally steal Enrique's question right now that I wrote for him. And what do you miss the most about Mexico? Because you've been gone for so long. So what's something that like you miss the most aside from maybe friends and family count too?
I mean, obviously friends and family are always the missing part, but I do miss the most two things. The food, like the real authentic food. Yes, I have Mexican places here. They're really good, but it's not quite, the ingredients are not even from the ground in Mexico, which tastes differently. But also the culture. The Mexican culture is so lovely. The people are really warm, the way how they receive. And I'm not saying here are not, but in here, people are more focusing on what they're doing. And it's just a different culture and different way. We celebrate everything in Mexico. You don't even need a reason to celebrate and throw a party. Everything is about like gathering and just having a good time. And that's kind of what I miss a little bit more. The culture in Mexico is very warm and so welcoming. And so I miss a bit of my roots and my Mexico, my food, my music, those traditions that they're really lovely. Yeah.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
My microphone is playing. Before Enrique end up, look at this dream. That's a dream as well. Skating in the roof in New York. No?
Yes.
And
that's
it's amazing.
Actually called Polyglide Ice, and I've been their image. So I've been promoting the brand for over a year now. So I've been taking my panels with me around the world. Sometimes I'm skating on my rooftop. Sometimes I took them to Bali. So we skated in Bali, took them to Mexico. So I've been taking them to different places and just creating really cool content. So sometimes if you Google a lot of, or YouTube, if you YouTube a lot of skating, sometimes a Polyglide ad will pop up for you and that will be me skating somewhere around the world.
And only that is now the skating is open anywhere.
Yes.
Anywhere can train now. Now, well, yes. Ale, congratulations, Enrique.
Thank you so much.
Ale Izquierdo, well, it has been a pleasure having you here. And of
Thank
course,
you very much.
Hopefully we'll have the opportunity to see you here in London soon. Yeah.
Hopefully,
in another show.
Because I'll get invited back. Who knows? Maybe, you never know what could happen with Dancing on Ice. Maybe I'll be back in the future. So fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, of course, we will looking forward to having you here. But of course, best luck. And also, well, just the last question. It's like you're in a project that you are making some rehearsals and everything.
Yes, I am performing for. Yeah, I've been rehearsing for Ice Theater of New York. And so that company, we normally have a gala, a spring gala and an autumn gala, but our gala won't happen this year because of the pandemic. However, we decided to make it virtually. And so if you head to Ice Theater of New York, you will find the link So you can see not only my performance with the group, the ensemble group, but like the whole night of an event. It's on May 6th, so you can take a look on that. It's going to be New York time, so you can have to adjust to London time if you're over there. And if you want to follow more of my projects, you can always follow me on my Instagram account, which is ALE, like Ali, ALE, .cat.official, Ali Cat Official. Yeah, that's right there. That's me, Ali Cat Official. You can follow me there. I always post about projects, interviews, because I like to just be part of this kind of thing. So I post a lot of projects, different things that I have. I'm doing a lot of aerials on ice too with ice skater. So I'm flying on a hoop and silks for that too. And so that'll be very cool. And yeah, follow me there or follow me on Facebook, which is ALEJANDRA. Yeah.
Excellent. Ale, thank you very much for being tonight with us. Well, afternoon for you. And well, good luck. And I hope to see you soon.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was lovely to see you again. And I hope I get to come back, say hello another time. And you guys know that I'm always here for any project that you guys are on to. So it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ale.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Well, she's Ale Izquierdo. She is from Mexico. And well, I think so. We have learned different things about ice skating, etc. And well, I think I just want to say something. Like as I told you at the beginning of the show, we had some issues like broadcasting the show because Zoom. That is the platform that we're using, and also Facebook, they've made some changes. We will try to figure out, and I know that some people, they are trying just to put some comments or just to write something, and it's not allowing you to post them there. Apologies for that. We're going to try to fix it and for next show to have all your comments and everything like in a normal basis. We just need to figure out what is happening with Facebook and Zoom. Well, I think so now it's time to go with our next guest that I think so. Whitney, are you going to introduce our next guest?
Yeah. So our next guest is Barzo, who is a Costa Rican DJ and producer with a career spanning over the past decade or so in musical production and live performances. His style is a mix, partly due to his multicultural upbringing, his studies abroad, mixing many different genres to create a unique sound. He's collaborated with many well-known artists and is currently the head of an independent music label called Lacteo Cósmico. And lucky for us, he's here to talk about this and more this evening. So welcome, Barzo.
Hey, hello everyone. Pura vida. How are you doing?
Yes.
Yeah, I was hearing you earlier talk about that, and it's amazing because we use pura vida so much. We use it to say hello, to say goodbye, to say thank you, to say please. I mean, you can basically swap it for any word and it'll kind of make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, when you don't have any answer, you can say pura vida and that's it.
Yes.
Pura vida.
Yeah, pura vida. Yeah,
Pura vida,
and that's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I know. I love it. It's just so like perfect description of like Costa Rican way of life and culture and like the way of like seeing the world. So I had to remind the audience of that because I wasn't going to cover it later tonight in slang. And I thought I have to say pura vida. So pura vida. Y gracias.
Pura vida.
Thank you so much for being
here. Pura vida.
Yeah.
Barzo, it's been an honor for us to be here in this program. But tell us so the audience can know a little bit more about you. What do you get you in the music business, specifically as a DJ?
So, well, I think to understand, like, you kind of have to like know how I grew up, or what's like my life story. So I was born in Costa Rica. My dad is from Costa Rica, but my mom is from Poland. They met in Russia. I lived for a couple years in Florida. Then I lived for 8 years in Belgium. So we've been traveling all over the world, and I feel that all these different cultures, all these different places have definitely influenced kind of my lifestyle, what I do, and all this stuff. And so when I was living in Belgium, I was pretty young. I moved there when I was about 13 years old. At school, some friends talked to me about this party that was in a nightclub, and I was really excited to go. And once I went there, I heard for the first time a DJ spinning records, like actually mixing two different songs together. And that just blew my mind. I was so impressed, but I was hearing and what I was seeing, that from that day, I just told myself, I need to find myself some turntables, and I need to learn to do what that guy just did. So I got a friend to borrow me his turntables that were at home. And I started practicing every day in my living room until I started like to learn the basics of DJing. And it was really fun. I had the opportunity to DJ at a lot of parties, a lot of nightclubs in Belgium and Luxembourg, in Germany as well. And yeah, it was definitely great years of my life.
Wow.
And Bartosz, you were saying that, well, of course, it's like this mixture between, you said you have your mother that is from Poland, your father from Costa Rica, you spent 8 years here in Europe, and of course you were like working with a lot of new sounds like electronic music and everything. It's like, how can you say that all this kind of diversity impact your work?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, since this is like such a part of me and such a part of my DNA, you know, it's always been very natural for me to mix different styles, mix different genres. So when I was growing up, I used to listen to a lot of different music, you know, in Costa Rica. Besides like all the traditional sounds, all that stuff, there's like a really big reggae scene. Also, the rock scene is very predominant. So I used to come from a very like reggae rock background. And once I arrived to Belgium, it was like fully electronic music, you know, all the different subgenres. And now that I'm back in Costa Rica, you know, I've gone back to re-exploring, you know, the more tropical, the more folk sounds, you know, the sounds from the region. And what I love to do is just like mix those different sounds, mix, you know, the electronic instruments, the electronic drums, that kind of patterns, mix it with some tropical rhythms as well, mix it with some different genres, and try to create something new, unique, and different.
Okay, you totally just answered my question, but I want to hear more about these genres, because like you moved back in what, 2012? So you've been there like back in Costa Rica 9 years. What are some of these genres for those of us who might not know, and this mix that you make? Can you get a little bit more into that, please?
Yeah, so like since I got back here, I've been really into trying to mix electronic music with local sounds. So depending on the project, I love to take on different genres, different styles. So for example, I did a collaboration with a local band called Un Rojo. They're a reggae band, and we did a song that mixes reggae sounds with electronic instruments, you know, kind of like dubstep, electro sounds. So in that case, you know, it's like trying to mix these two worlds. Then I've also had the opportunity to collaborate with a bunch of amazing artists like Nakuri. She's an MC and rapper from Costa Rica. So once I started working with her, I really got into the Latin rap and hip hop scene here in Central America. And it was really about trying to merge those two different worlds, you know, try to keep the best of rap and hip hop and mix it with the best sounds of electronic music and try to come up with something different. And the same with a bunch of different projects. You know, I just love to like go into a specific genre, a specific project, band, or whatever it is, and kind of like plunge into that world and see how I can mix it, how I can combine it with my electronic background.
Okay, I just wrote that artist down, so I'm now going to start following that. So thank you.
Definitely.
Mute.
And not only that, Barzo, also as a DJ, you write songs as well. You're a writer. Tell us a little bit more about that side of yourself and what you reach, where you went writing songs.
Yeah, for sure. So I started off as a DJ, and then naturally came this wanting to do more, wanting to be more involved in the music process. So the next step for me was to learn how to produce my own music, you know, with laptop computer, with a software like Ableton Live. And that's also the beauty of nowadays, is that technology is so accessible that you can literally make great music with just a laptop computer. So once I learned once I figured it out, you know, how it works, how I can make melodies, arrange them into a song, I started working with a lot of different artists. You know, between those, among those, I collaborated with Debbie Nova. She's a super talented Costa Rican artist. I think at the moment she's perhaps one of the most popular Costa Rican artists, most recognized abroad. And with Debbie, it was really special because she's such a nice person, and she's also a fantastic collaborator. She has like a bunch of ideas and she flows with them really fast. So it's really fun to go like back and forth with different ideas. And then we did a song back in, I think, 2016, which was called Gran Ciudad. I started making, you know, this instrumental track, which I sent to her. She started writing the vocals, the lyrics around it. She lives in Los Angeles. She goes back and forth between Los Angeles and Costa Rica. So she wrote this song that was about her experience living in a big city like Los Angeles. That's why the song is called Gran Ciudad, which means a big city. So that's the song speaks about like this whole experience about arriving to a new place, to such a big place that is perhaps a little bit overwhelming, but you got to find your path, you got to find your way and make your own destiny. And it was really special to make this song with her, especially that it was now nominated to the Latin Grammys in 2017. And it was also like the title track from her latest, well, not the last album, the one before that, which was called Gran Ciudad. So that was a wonderful opportunity to be able like to mix these different ideas and combine our talents to make something different, something unique.
And also, obviously, you're touching a very, very important topic, because as a DJ, we go to nightclubs and we always see a DJ, but the difference you have is all the mix of all your parents, everything, and that inspire you. How was the process just to process everything and put it in that project, which nearly won a Grammy? How was it?
It was really fun, you know, like, well, as a DJ, you know, it's always interesting to find like these points in common between different songs, even though they might be very different genres, you know, going from a reggae to a Latin song or to an electronic song, you know, it might seem so far away one from another, but as a DJ, you have like so many different tools that you can use, you know, whether it'll be like playing songs within the same BPM, which is the tempo or the speed of the track, or you can play harmonically, you know, with songs that are in the same key and trying to make like harmonic mixes between different genres. So all of this is really interesting because you don't really know how it's going to sound until you hear the two songs together. And it's interesting because these mixes as a DJ, you know, being able to combine or mix together these different songs also inspire different ideas as to, well, these two genres that are very different can work well together, you know, if you work around it. And because of this, yeah, there's like a lot of spontaneous ideas that have come from just like this action of mixing different songs together.
Well, that's amazing. We need in the music something very specific to separate the DJs, where the DJs crew, where they've got that capability to create more. Because that's, for myself, it's always the discussion. Why is always call it a DJ when you're an artist? You're just not playing to it. You are creating things, which is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, also when I am billed in a lineup, in a flyer, in a poster, I usually try to avoid putting DJ Barzo, because first of all, like, I like to do many different formats. So sometimes I'll DJ, but sometimes I'll play, for example, a live set, which is hybrid with electronic instruments combined with live musicians. So I have a guitar player playing with me, sometimes a saxophone player, sometimes a percussionist. So I love to combine all these different formats and all these different ways of playing, you know, to try to bring something new to the table, you know, and kind of stand out among all the noise that is going on nowadays.
And also, Barso is like, well, it's like, as well, we were talking about this Latin Grammy, etc. And it's like, I know that, well, you have had the opportunity to share the stage with very well-known artists like Calvin Harris, etc. And I would like that you can tell us a little bit about your experience. And of course, if there is someone that you would like to collaborate with in the future.
That's a great question. Well, I've had the opportunity to play with a lot of amazing different artists, you know, like you said, Calvin Harris, Tiesto, Skrillex, Diplo, but also like outside of the electronic scene, you know, I've played with great Latin bands like Café Tacuba, like Molotov, which are great bands from Mexico. I think one of my huge fanboy moments was in a festival that I played in Guatemala, where one of the headliners of the show was Incubus. And before I got into electronic music, I used to be a huge Incubus fan, like posters on the wall and everything. So it was like really special to not only to be like on the same flyer as them, but to actually like bump into them backstage, you know, being able to chat with them. It was really special, and I definitely had my fanboy moment there. But I think also one of the craziest experiences I've had was opening for Justin Bieber when he did his Purpose tour back in 2017. So he played here in Costa Rica in the National Stadium, and it was about 30,000 girls mostly that were just like screaming and mainly waiting for Bieber to play. So it was very challenging, you know, to be able to like kind of keep them calm for half an hour, for 1 hour until like the main show arrives. But it was also a very like interesting experience to how can I take advantage, or how can I make the most out of a situation where there's 30,000 people in front of me that are not necessarily coming to see me, they're coming to see the headliner, but I can use this opportunity to showcase my music, to showcase my sound, and try to gain some new fans out of it. And it was definitely a little bit scary, but it was also a very, very unique experience, you know, the whole show from the beginning to the end, you know, and yeah, that was definitely a very special moment. And then regarding collaborations, yeah, tell me.
I've got a question in that what you're saying, because that's very interesting. You as a Latin American, when you're chatting with Calvin Harris, with all these great DJs, and you know they started to adopting those Latin American rhythms. How you feel? How was the chat about that? Or did they ask you something about the Latin rhythms?
So I mean, it's very interesting because it depends. Like depending on the artist, is also going to be like their level of how accessible they are. So for example, I in this festival in Guatemala, Tiesto was headlining one of the nights. But for example, when Tiesto arrived, everybody was kicked off backstage. You know, nobody could come near the backstage, you know, even though you're an artist, even though you performed. So there are some artists like that, you know, where even though you're sharing the same stage, you know, even the case with Bieber, like I saw him from far away, but I didn't really have the opportunity to go and speak with him because they just set like some boundaries, and you know, you gotta respect that. And then there's some other DJs that are really down to earth, you know, that are really like there to exchange, you know, to share with other artists, exchange experiences, you know. And I think that's very interesting because that's where you can really see something special happening, you know, that you see a real connection, not only between me and that person, but like that person and the territory, the country, the audience that they're there to perform at, to perform for. And I believe that when you have this connection, you know, you can, I feel that like the, how can I say it? Like you grow a much stronger relationship with your fans, with your colleagues, you know, with the territory that you're visiting, and you make a more meaningful experience, a more meaningful, encounter. So I think it's very interesting, you know, to see all these like DJs kind of jump into the Latin bandwagon. You know, it's very trendy right now, and you see a lot of these cross collaborations. DJ Snake doing songs with Ozuna and with a bunch of different artists, and I think it's great. I think it's definitely good to have this, to have our style, our music being showcased to a wider audience. But I also think it's great when they do it like genuinely, like I was mentioning before, when there's actually a connection with the local scene, with the local artist, where there's actually support, and there are some artists that do it, and that's amazing, and there are some artists that don't do it, and I feel that you can tell, you can notice when an artist is just trying to milk the moment, trying to milk the genre, and once Latin is no longer hype, they'll move on to the next thing, be it K-pop or whatever is going to be trendy in the next phase. But I believe that the artists that really make that connection with their audience, with their fellow peers, are the ones that really transcend and make a difference.
Absolutely. And I actually want to talk about another project of yours that I briefly mentioned in the intro as a teaser. So you're the head of an independent record label called Lácteo Cósmico in Costa Rica. So can you tell us a little bit more about this label? First of all, for those of us out there who don't speak Spanish, what does it mean, like in English? What is the significance of the name? And then what genres and artists does it feature? So 4 questions in one.
Okay, Lácteo Cósmico, first of all, the name. It means cosmic latte. So what is cosmic latte? It's a concept, scientific concept of a general color that was given to describe the universe. So I won't go too much into detail into the specifics about that, but the name represents the color of the universe. And for me and for the people that are involved in this project, it's very important that we are able to showcase all the different sounds, all the different genres, without being limited to one language, to one style, to one specific set of parameters. And we believe that Lácteo Cósmico is a great representation. It's a combination of all these things together and all these things that make us human, make us beings of this galaxy. So that's kind of like where the name came from. And then the whole idea, well, when I was living in Belgium, I had the opportunity to work with a few different labels, mainly as a label manager, but I also worked as an A&R and artist manager for different projects. So I had the opportunity to learn a lot, like hands-on, from experiences, of signing records directly to other bigger record labels like Armin van Buuren's Armada Music or Steve Aoki's Dim Mak records. So all these experiences, plus the experiences of managing some smaller labels, kind of gave us the groundwork, kind of the basics, to be able to put together this whole infrastructure here in Costa Rica. And also when I came back here, I noticed, there's a lot of great talents, amazing, like, first of all, there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of people doing great music, and then there's a lot of great quality music. There's great studios. There's a lot of great music coming here, but where we found that there was really something missing is in the distribution and the promotion of music. So once that song is done, is finished, is recorded, how are you going to get it out there? How are you going to make people listen to it? How are you going to reach new audiences? And that's where we saw the opportunity to do this record label. We have a small team with maybe about 4 or 5 people that work in different areas like communication, graphic design, more on the audio technical parts like mixing and mastering. And then I handle a little bit more of the administrative work and kind of all the paperwork and all the boring stuff, besides all the creative part of producing and making music. So it's really interesting how we're able to complement ourselves in all these different areas, and we're able to showcase different projects that we feel really stand out or really deserve to stand out. And so amongst these projects, one of the first that we released was Nakuri's debut album, which is this rapper from Costa Rica that I mentioned before. I love her so much. I love her music because she has a great talent to write lyrics, but also to write like meaningful lyrics with an important message, with important content, that makes us self-aware about the environment that we live in, our relationship to nature, to society, how we, from things like how we transport ourselves in the city, whether we grab a car or we grab a bike, that actually makes a difference. And all this you can hear in her lyrics, in the songs that we've made together. And I feel that music is a very important tool, but also a great responsibility that we should use wisely to communicate ideas that will make us a better society. And so besides Nakuri, I also had the opportunity to collaborate with Debinova as well. Besides the track I wrote for her album, we also did a collaboration that we released through Lacteo Cosmico. We also released some music from Gary Nestapine, who was the ex-vocalist of the Wailers, and he also is a vocalist of a very famous song called Love Generation. Maybe you've heard of that. Anyways, so we did a song with him. Also released some music from La Dame Blanche, which is a super talented Cuban artist that is currently living in Paris. She also has a magnificent way of painting these very colorful pictures, experiences, you know, through words. And I find it amazing how she's able how I'm able to really imagine those experiences that she writes about, you know, by just hearing her vocals. And then most recently, I've been collaborating with a couple of artists, one from Mexico called Paua. I recently released a collaboration with her called Bahia. And I just love it because that one you can really feel the mixture between electronic sounds, between tropical rhythms, between folkloric instruments. And it's kind of like all mashed up into this one song. And I think it represents us very well, and it represents very well the diversity that you can hear in this territory. And last but not least, I've also been collaborating with a Costa Rican artist called Guadalupe Urbina. She is probably like our Costa Rican equivalent of Mercedes Sosa, or maybe like Totola Momposina, which is, she's been doing this for over 3 decades. She's been one of the first ones to kind of like set the groundwork, kind of set the path for the rest of us. So it's really inspiring for me to be able to share with someone that has so much experience, so much knowledge, and that has lived through so much, because we're able to teach each other from our different experiences and really make something different by combining our 2 different worlds, you know?
When you talk about like different experiences, are you talking about like social awareness through music? Because when you mention people like Mercedes Sosa and that hit song Bahia, it's talking about topics that pertain to a lot of us in using music as a platform. Was that what you were referring to, or more like the different musical genres and experiences that other people have?
A little bit. Well, it could be both. I was like mainly talking about the first one, whereas as I was mentioning, like music is a very important tool and responsibility. So I believe that, you know, if you're going to make a song, you know, let's not talk about getting drunk and whatever, like let's talk about what's going on with water. Let's talk about what's going on with our cities, that there's so much cars that you can't even move anymore. You know, all these different issues that, I mean, you can make music that's fun, that's fun to dance to, that's cool to listen to, but at the same time that leaves something positive for the society and tries to make a change for the better.
That it's funny. I'm literally teaching that in my like Spanish classes. People like, you know, though like Mercedes Sosa, Juanes, Carlos Vives, that like literally some of their songs are dedicated to certain topics. And I think that's thank you for mentioning that, because I think it's important for people to view music not just as a source of entertainment, but a platform from like people who they look up to, saying, hey, this is what's going on in the world, and this is like, we need to pay attention and open our eyes to it.
Definitely, yeah. And like, I mean, like, for example, I have this song with Nakuri, which is part of our last album that we published a few months ago. And like, for example, when we talk about Costa Rica, people are always like, it's such a lovely country, you know, ecotourism and all this stuff. And yeah, for sure, it's beautiful. You know, we have beautiful beaches, we have beautiful volcanoes, tropical rainforests. But then we're also one of the countries that use more agrochemicals in our crops, you know, in the whole region. And we're also like, we're very like nature focused, but at the same time, we live in Central America, which is one of the most dangerous regions in the world for activists in ecology. And so at the same time, you know, it's very important that we celebrate the positive stuff that from where we come from where we are, what surrounds us. But it's also very important, you know, to see the bigger picture, you know, and see what needs to be improved so we can better ourselves as a society, so we can leave a better world for our children, our grandchildren tomorrow, and so we can work together to build a better world.
Yeah, thank you.
That sounds really nice, actually. And well, it's like you were talking about your music and also the latest one that you have done. And I think so I'm going to allow you, well, first of all, Barzo, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Well, your afternoon, our night. But well, it has been a pleasure knowing more about your music, knowing more about the different kind of course, what that diversity and of course how the difference also between a DJ and a producer, a creator of different music. So, well, I would like to invite the audience for two things. The first one is where they can follow you.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on every streaming platform as Barzo. That's Barzo. And you can listen to my music. You can share it with your friends. And then you can also find me on every social platform as Barstep, that's Barztep, and there you can send me a message, you know, and I'd be glad to connect with you all.
It sounds brilliant. And well, the second one, if you would like to present the video that we're going to play now with music.
Sure. So the song you're going to hear next is called Mueve. It's a song from my latest album, O, which is featuring Nakuri, and we recorded this in the mountains of Costa Rica.
Ooh.
Excellent. So let's go to music. Thank you very much, Barzo, for being with us tonight.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
Pura vida.
Pura vida. Let's hear this amazing song.
No vengo a pedir permiso a nadie, voy con toda el azúcar de mi valle y soy la que abre la pista de baile. Por eso quiero ver todas las manos al aire. Mueve ese cuerpo que es tuyo, con todo el orgullo. Vámonos saliendo del capullo. Cada persona es única. La vergüenza no se para nada. Que flow, la piel de miel, mira que glow. De todos colores como rainbow. Mística natural, wow. Sabe cuándo sí y cuándo decir no. Quieren vendernos la belleza como un ideal. Aspirar a ser territorio de conquista. Pero me amo, yo no tengo amo. Arco y flecha tengo lista. Mueve ese cuerpo que es tuyo. Mueve ese cuerpo que solo es para ti. Mueve ese cuerpo que es tuyo. Mueve ese cuerpo que solo es para ti. Menea, menea, menea. Descolonizando cadera. Todos los complejos van pa' afuera. Somos unas fieras, libera, libera. Esta es nuestra era. Quítate el prejuicio, eso solo es un vicio. Te saca de quicio como un maleficio. Idea que no es verdadera. Te rompe la ilusión. No voy a negar mi identidad. No más de esa opresión. Se vive bonito en la diversidad. Escucha esta canción. ¿Qué ritmo nos puede sintonizar esta revolución? Solo si se mueve se puede lograr. Por eso mueve ese cuerpo que es tuyo. Mueve ese cuerpo que solo es para ti. Mueve ese cuerpo que es tuyo. Mueve ese cuerpo que solo es para ti. Mueve, 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 corazón, espíritu y mente.
Well, we had the opportunity to listen Barzo. So, well, it's like an extraordinary artist, and well, of course, you can follow him. It's very easy to find him. He's Barzo with Z. So, well, I think so. We are almost over the concluding the show. So, over to you, Whitney, with
Okay,
slang.
perfect. So this is, I kind of had a little more planned, but given the time, I just want to show a couple words in slang. We talked about pura vida, which is kind of more of an expression than slang, but here are just a couple new words to learn. And next week we'll make something a little bit more interactive so you guys can participate. So, all right, 2 words here. So we have, it's mostly expressions and words, but let's just get into it. So, and the first one is booze, okay? So this word usually denotes like alcohol made from sugarcane, which we talked about, but it can also be referred to as any kind of alcohol. So it's like how we would say booze in English, el guaro. And then we have que jeta. So jeta is a slang word for face. So in some contexts, it's like it's like when you're talking about a person being like insolent, but more commonly it's used to mean something like, yeah, right, or no way, or wow. And I think wow is the closest equivalent because it gives, like, it just depends on context, like the way that you use it. So that's one of them. And as we learned in questions, like normally we see K and we associate it with like questions, but when we have K with like an adjective or sometimes even like in this case, like a noun, it means like how, like, ugh, like que aburrido, like how boring, you know? And speaking of that, moving on to the next one. Okay, we have que chiva. So chiva is like the feminine form of the word chivo, which in like everyday Spanish can mean goat. But in this case, que chiva is like how cool or how awesome. So it's very similar to like que chido with a D in Mexican slang. So that's another expression. Lots of K's here. I have a theme for tonight. And then que madre. So okay, in madre, I kind of feel bad because even like in Mexico, like estoy hasta la madre, like that is a negative connotation. So it's this one, que madre means, oh, bummer, like almost like que lástima. So that word takes a hit in that sense. So you have que chiva, like que chido, like how cool, and que madre, like, oh, bummer, like que lástima. And then the final one is, okay, I abbreviate the way you might like see it in like a text or whatnot, but like, okay, so nos fuimos is like, we're out of here, we're gone. And the J, so normally it comes from the verb like ir, which is to go. So normally it would be fuimos, and the J is substitute for the F. And this is just something that's like really different and unique in the Costa Rican twist of the word. And that's why instead of like NF, nos fuimos, it's NJ, nos fuimos, because that's how like they say it. So that's just a different way. And so there's the written way, and then there's the like the text kind of way, like kind of like when we see words like que hubo is like que and hubo, and then que hubo is like one shortened word. That's it for tonight. Wanted to keep it nice and short. I knew we had 3 amazingly interesting guests. And but for more information, please go to makingspanishsimple.com after the program and click subscribe, because more material is coming out. First and foremost, new material for anyone who wants to learn Spanish is coming out on that webpage. And then later on, like more and more videos. And it's connected to all my social media. So please go on, subscribe, tell everyone who wants to learn Spanish to subscribe, because lots of material is coming out. That is my new project for the coming month. Okay. Shameless plug is over.
Okay, Whitney. Subscribe now.
Did that
it's
make
like
it
a
more convincing?
it's like a press the red button to subscribe.
Yeah, like
Yes.
now subscribe.
Now. Because no one because I want like more and more subscribers. Yeah, the second I get more, I'm gonna start putting info out there. So please go on, click subscribe, and stay tuned. Okay, I'm done. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Whitney. And well, it's almost time to conclude this show. So first of all, I would like to say again, apologies for the technical issues that we have. We're going to fix them. And this is basically because they changed the API that we have between Zoom and Facebook. So we will try to figure it out in order that we can receive all your comments and we can just put the live show as normal, and I don't have to post it and repost it on the Latin America show as I had to do it today because it was like an emergency. So, well, we will continue with this. So, thank you very much, Roger Alarcon.
Qué madre, ya se acabó el programa.
Qué madre.
Sí, qué madre.
Well, no, it's I did it, Whitney. I did it.
Paid attention.
Well, thank you very much. Amazing guests. I'm just, I want to see the show, the replay again, because I want to see it. Thank you very much to all our guests, Enrique, Whitney. Thank you, and see you next week.
Thank you, Roger. Whitney, Nuchereno.
Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. Again, I'm not seeing anything in the comments. I know the comments aren't really working. So if there's some sort of thing that you want covered in the next week, so you can just message me personally or message the Latin America show. I'll be checking those messages because this time is for you. It's not like my classes where I come in, I'm like, they have to know this and there's going to be a test and blah, 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 blah. But yeah. I do that full time. So here it's like more relaxed. So this is your time. So tell me, no, Enrique's face, like, this is you more relaxed. Not with you two, with troublemakers, I'm not relaxed.
This is a more relaxed teacher. The teacher.
I know. Yeah, this is me relaxed. So you must imagine how, like, my poor students in school. But anyways, they're not as cheeky as you guys sometimes. So I have to rein you guys in. Anyways, have a wonderful evening and enjoy the sun for those of you who are in London for the rest of the week.
Thank you very much, Whitney, and thank you very much, Roger. And well, thank you very much to everyone for watching us. And remember, the Latin America show is every Tuesday, 8 p.m. London time. My name is Enrique Gelista. See you next week.